Anytime you increase the complexity of an activity, the accuracy is going to suffer. And so usually when you're increasing the complexity of your bowings, what tends to suffer is rhythm. In string playing, the rhythm and the bow are so closely connected, and tempo as well. So a lot of teachers are adverse to teaching their kids how to play off the string because, well, it just doesn't sound together. One thing that can really stabilize the sound and make sure that everybody is at least starting at the same time, is to remember the fundamental of string playing, which is that the bow always starts on the string. So when you're starting to teach a technique like spiccato, the first problem that you're likely to run into is rhythmic precision issues and maybe some phasing issues with some sections going too fast or too slow in relation to maybe a legato line that's on the string. When you hear an orchestra attempt to play spiccato, usually the first couple notes aren't quite together, and then the section will start to line it up as they go along. But one thing you can do to secure that again is to start the bow on the string and make sure everybody's in the same spot so that they're right together. There's an exercise that I'll have orchestras do, like at a festival or something, and this really only works once, but it starts to get them to think about what they're doing. And so I set the orchestra up, and I have them hold up their left hands, and I have them get ready to snap with the left hand. Now, as I do this, I've already kind of know the outcome, and I'm setting them up to prove my point, because the first time I have them snap, I'm going to have them snap with their hand wide open, and then I'm going to cue them in and try to get them all to snap at the same time without touching the fingers first. And of course, it's not going to be together. It's going to be chaotic. And even if they would have been playing this way, it would have been chaotic too, because they're kind of trying to figure out what you're doing with them, because they probably haven't had a conductor in front of them that's getting them to snap on cue. So yeah, you have them do it like this and they snap, and it's like, oh, that's a mess, right? Okay, now let's do it again. Let's prepare the finger, and now we'll snap together, and then give them the cue, they snap. And it may still not be perfectly together, but it's going to be a whole lot more together than it was. And that's one of the ways you can convince the students that it's a good idea to start the bow on the string, because just as we are preparing our fingers to snap accurately, we're also preparing the bows to bounce accurately. The other issue that orchestra teachers have when it comes to getting off the string is, well, then how do we get back on the string? Because we go from a section that's spiccato, and then now we have a legato section coming up. How do we get the bow back on the string so that we can play a legato bowing without getting unintended ricochets? A lot of times too, once they figure out how to start skipping the bow, doing saute bowings or something, then it's kind of hard for them not to do it, and they might end up with something called bow skip, which is easily corrected, so it's not something to be worried about. Don't let them discourage that, but just getting back on the string can be very clunky. Another thing is that some teachers, when they start teaching off the string techniques, they feel like their ensembles don't have as much dynamic range or volume control, and maybe it's because they haven't really shown how to manipulate that using more or less horizontal versus vertical motion. And then also that the shorter notes when you're playing off the string, it's going to make it more difficult for the orchestra to play in tune, because they have less time to make those adjustments to tune. So again, go back to the hierarchy of techniques and solve your tuning problems first before you start incorporating off the string technique. And if you have a section that's off the string and out of tune, well, treat it like anything else. Slow it down and put it on the string, and that way they can tune it first and then add the style later. All of these problems can be easily solved with improvements in the technique. It's not anything too complicated or too out of reach. But again, the bow always starts on the string. That's something that we need to reinforce over and over and over again.